My name is Evangeline Calder. I'm 35 years old, the youngest daughter of a Charleston family that looks flawless from the outside and fractures quietly behind closed doors. I grew up surrounded by old money, inherited expectations, and a last name that carried more weight than my opinions ever did. My siblings learned early how to protect power. I learned how to stay out of the way. I have a career, my own life, and now a secret growing inside me. But in my family, being different has always felt like being dangerous. I've spent most of my adult life as the afterthought, the one they underestimate, the one they forget to listen to, and maybe that's why I trusted my instincts when something felt wrong about that dinner invitation. Because I knew even before I walked through those doors that if I opened my mouth at the wrong moment, I wouldn't just lose my place at the table, I might lose everything. And that's why I didn't mention my pregnancy at family dinner. Thank God I didn't. Rain had stopped just minutes before I pulled up to the Calder estate. The sky was still bruised from the storm, low and heavy. I killed the engine. The silence after the windshield wipers stopped was the loudest sound I'd heard all day. Inside my purse, my phone, lip balm, and a tiny folded baby onesie that said, "Hello, cousin." I'd meant to give it to August, my nephew, as part of a soft, sweet reveal. I left it in the glove box. Something about the sudden dinner invitation didn't sit right. No birthdays, no holidays, just a Thursday night with too much wine and not enough truth. The lights in the front parlor flickered as I climbed the stone steps. Someone was watching from the upstairs window, then gone. I didn't knock. The door opened before my hand touched it. "Rosie." She smiled like a blade. "Evangeline," she purred. "We were just talking about you." I crossed the threshold. Warm light, antique rugs, laughter from the dining room, the smell of roasted duck and sage. No one looked surprised to see me. That was the first sign. My brother Gideon raised his glass across the table when I entered, but didn't say my name. Not even a nod. Beatrix gave me a quick side hug, her eyes darting back to her wine like it had something more important to say. They'd already started without me. I took the seat at the far end. I always did. Rosie sat directly across from me, radiant in a blush silk wrap dress. Her hand fluttered over her abdomen, not resting, displaying. Someone refilled my glass without asking. "You've been quiet lately," Gideon said finally, voice even. "Work," I replied. "Travel. You know." Rosie's fingers tightened around her fork. I watched her. She watched me. Dessert came. Then silence. And then she said it. "I have some news," Rosie announced, tilting her head, her tone deliberately light. "Gideon and I are expecting." My spine didn't move, but everything inside me flinched. Gasps. Cheers. Mom burst into tears. Beatrix shrieked. August clapped. Someone tapped their glass. "She said expecting," I whispered under my breath. No one heard me. Rosie looked directly at me and said, "It was a surprise, but a blessing." Every word hit like a slap. "I was going to say something earlier," she continued, pressing a palm flat over her stomach, but it just didn't feel right. Until now. My hand reached for the wine glass. It was already empty. I didn't speak. I smiled. They were too busy celebrating. I excused myself to the restroom. Instead, I went outside. My car was still parked under the willow trees. I opened the glove box. Empty. The onesie was gone. My heart slammed against my ribs. Then I saw it. My passenger door wasn't fully shut. Just ajar. I looked around the dark lawn. Silence. Wind. Leaves rustling. I got back in the car, locked the doors, checked the phone. No missed calls. One voicemail, no sound, just breathing. It was too precise to be a prank. The onesie was gone. The only physical proof of my pregnancy, besides my own body, taken. Rosie used my announcement, word for word. But how the hell did she know? I didn't sleep. I lay in bed with the hallway light slicing under my door like a scalpel. The onesie was gone. That wasn't a misunderstanding. That was premeditated. Someone had gone into my car. Someone had taken it. My sister-in-law announced my pregnancy, word for word, gesture for gesture, with a perfectly timed hand on her stomach, like she was following a damn script. And the family ate it up like communion. My stomach turned. I rolled onto my side and pressed a hand to the soft swell beneath my ribs. My daughter kicked. You won't be a pawn. Not like I've been. Not like Dad was. At 6:03 a.m. I got out of bed. No makeup. Hoodie over my head. Car keys. Phone. I drove to my apartment downtown, the one place that still smelled like my life and not like the Calder Estate's suffocating mix of cedar and secrets. I locked the door, drew the blinds. I went straight for my laptop. It took 15 minutes to dig through my email trash. There, between 2 spam messages from baby registries, was a forwarded draft I didn't remember sending. Subject: surprise dinner announcement. Attachment: a Word doc. I clicked it. The contents: my exact speech. The wording: the idea of giving the onesie to August. Every sentence: tracked changes revealed it had been opened. Edited. Not from my laptop. Not from my Wi-Fi. The access log showed a different IP. Not mine. And the timestamp? 2 nights ago. Cut. I grabbed my phone. Called Nora. She picked up on the second ring. What happened? You still have access to my cloud? I do. I think someone cloned my device. Jesus, Evie. That's not a pause. Is this about last night? Yes. Silence. I'll run a trace. Nora wasn't just my best friend. She was a digital forensic investigator for private firms, used to track cheating CEOs, siphon bank accounts, whistleblower leaks. If someone tampered with my accounts, she'd find them. I need to know who accessed that doc, I said, and why my car door was ajar last night. You think it's Rosie? I think someone wants me to think it's Rosie. Beat. Nora's voice sharpened. I'm coming over. Cut. 2 hours later, Nora stood in my kitchen in black boots and a weatherproof jacket, coffee in hand, laptop out. You're being watched, she said flatly. There's a background keylogger on your phone. I froze. How long? At least a month. That's around when I started showing. Nora typed something, plugged in an external monitor, mirrored my phone's last activity. A full stream of my location data, keystrokes, app history, emails, even drafts. This is high-grade stuff, she muttered. Not spyware from the App Store. Then she paused, clicked into a secure login site. Eyes narrowed. What? Nora turned the screen toward me. Your cloud account was accessed from the Calder Estate Wi-Fi 2 days ago. She clicked deeper. And this, she pulled up a file directory I hadn't seen in years. That is a scan of the sealed Calder inheritance agreement. From your father's safe. Accessed 4 minutes after your baby announcement draft. My mouth went dry. What does it say? Nora didn't answer. She just turned the screen to me again. Section C4. In the event that Evangeline Calder gives birth to a legitimate child, said child shall be sole heir to the Calder estate and all associated holdings and property, effective immediately upon declaration of biological lineage. I stared. Then I whispered, Dad left everything to my child? That's not public, Nora said. That clause was in the sealed version, the one that was never notarized. But it proves motive. Cut. I stood, walked to the window. The blinds were shut, but I could feel it. Eyes on me. Rosie's announcement wasn't just performance. It was strategic. She wanted to be the mother of the heir, because she knew what was in the clause. But someone had to tell her. Someone who also had access. Gideon. My throat closed. If you want to control power, you have to control perception. And if you want to keep someone out of a fortune, you don't need to destroy them. You just need to beat them to the reveal. I turned back to Nora. I need a copy of that clause. And I need proof that I'm being monitored. Nora nodded. Already printing. My printer hummed. Outside, a car drove by slow. Too slow. We both turned toward the window. Nora whispered, "They know you know." I whispered back, "Then let's give them something to watch." They stole my child's future before she's even born. I told Beatrix I was meeting a lawyer. I let it slip over lunch at Monroe's Cafe, loud enough for the woman at the next table to hear. Beatrix gasped, overplayed the shock, and clutched her pearls like a caricature. Perfect. I needed it to spread. "I'm making adjustments to my will," I said, sipping tea. With everything going on, it felt necessary. Beatrix's eyes narrowed. "For your baby?" I didn't answer. I let the silence do the work. By dusk, I knew the bait was taken. Rosie posted a photo of August on her story. Caption, "He can't wait to be a big brother." No mention of her own body. No baby bump shots. Just a recycled narrative. That night, I parked 3 blocks from the estate. No headlights. No engine idling. Charleston air hung heavy, thick with sea salt and Spanish moss. The kind of night that swallows sound and spits back secrets. The side gate still had the faulty lock. I slid through. Cut. I wore black. Hoodie. Sneakers. Hair tied up. The study lights were off. I moved fast. My hands shook, not from fear but clarity. Anger is a sharper compass than grief. Inside, the Calder study smelled like old books and bourbon. Same as it always had. Only now, the painting above the fireplace was crooked, 2 inches lower than before. I moved it. Behind it, the safe. Code was my father's birthday. I didn't forget. It clicked. Inside, a thick manila envelope. No dust. Recently handled. I pulled it free. Footsteps. I froze. Not from the hall. From inside the study. She stepped out of the shadows near the drapes. Hands bare. No makeup. Slippers. "Rosie." "You didn't knock," she said softly. My grip tightened on the envelope. She tilted her head. "He told me you'd come eventually." "He who?" "Gideon." My blood chilled. "Cut." She stepped forward, slow. "You think I don't know what's in that envelope?" Rosie's voice was calm, controlled. "He told me about the clause. Months ago." I blinked. "Why now? Why announce my pregnancy like it was yours?" She smiled. "Because perception is power. And in this family, if you're not ahead of the story, you're the story." I stepped back. She stepped forward. The fireplace flickered to life behind her. She'd already lit it. That's when I realized this wasn't just confrontation. This was cleanup. "You were going to burn it," I whispered. "I still might," she said. She reached for the poker. Behind her, the flames roared higher. My heart thumped like a war drum. "You were never supposed to win, Evangeline," Rosie hissed. "You weren't even supposed to matter." The poker raised. And then, the door burst open. "Rosie," Gideon's voice snapped. "Put it down." He looked rough. Shirt half-tucked. Tie askew. Sweat on his brow. Rosie froze. He stepped between us. "Get out," he told me, not looking in my direction. "I'm not going anywhere," I said, breath sharp. Gideon turned, and his eyes told the story before his mouth moved. He wasn't shocked. He wasn't protecting me. He was choosing her. "She wasn't supposed to find the envelope," he said, voice flat. "She baited it," Rosie muttered. "No," Gideon replied. "She trapped us." My fingers clenched. Rosie backed away from the fire. Her hand still held the poker, but it trembled now. "I should have known it was you," I said. "You gave her access to my accounts. You leaked my pregnancy. You staged that dinner." Gideon said nothing. His silence was admission. Cut. The flames behind him cracked. Orange light cast twisted shadows on his face. "You're not even angry," I whispered. "You think this is about anger," he said finally. "It's about legacy." I laughed. Short. Sharp. No. It's about fear. He flinched. I held up the envelope. This was never yours to erase. You were never supposed to be the heir, he snapped. That was a mistake. My voice dropped. So you rewrote history? I preserved it. No, I said. You buried it. Cut. Sirens in the distance. Closer. Nora. She'd activated the emergency ping. 30-minute window. I was still on clock. Gideon turned toward the door. Rosie dropped the poker. No one moved. Then I said the words I knew would crack them. I made copies. Rosie's face drained. Gideon stepped forward, one step too far. I pulled the flash drive from my pocket and held it like a detonator. You take one more step, I burn it all. He stopped, because he knew I would. It wasn't Rosie who betrayed me first. It was Gideon. The sirens never came. That was the first sign something had shifted. Nora picked me up 2 blocks from the estate. No lights. No questions. She drove like someone who understood that hesitation gets people killed. You were inside for 19 minutes, she said. That's an eternity. I got what I needed, I replied, but not all of it. She glanced at my hands. They were shaking. Fear is just information, she said. We'll use it. Cut. Her place was dark except for the glow of 3 monitors. Cables everywhere. Coffee gone cold. The kind of room where secrets go to die. She locked the door, then locked it again. Say it slowly, she said. From the top. I told her everything. The envelope. The fire. Gideon's silence. Rosie's grip tightening around a poker like she'd practiced. Nora didn't interrupt. She just listened. Fingers flying across keys. I pulled more logs while you were gone, she said. They didn't just mirror your phone. They installed persistence. That means even if you reset, they're still in. My stomach dropped. So every message, every doctor appointment, every heartbeat, she finished. Yes. Cut. She brought up a new window. Security camera feeds. The Calder estate. Archived footage. This system auto-overwrites every 30 days, she said. But your father upgraded it. Quietly. She scrubbed back. Paused. There it was. The study. Rosie. Gideon. The angle was wrong. Crooked. Like someone hadn't realized the camera was still live. The date stamp glowed at the corner of the frame. 2 weeks ago. I leaned closer. They were signing something. Gideon slid a folder across the desk. Rosie opened it. Her face didn't change. Not surprise. Not hesitation. Acceptance. She signed. Then he did. I watched Gideon's hand tremble just once before studying. A pen scratch echoed in my ears like a gunshot. What is that? I whispered. Nora zoomed in. A contract header appeared. The name of a law firm I recognized immediately. One my father had fired years ago for falsifying trust documents. Jesus, Nora murmured. They were planning to destroy the sealed will. And replace it, I said. Nora nodded. With something cleaner. Something that erases you. Cut. The footage continued. Rosie laughed. A low sound. Not joy. Relief. She's not supposed to know yet, Rosie said on the video. If she finds out before the announcement, it complicates things. Gideon replied, voice tight. She won't. My chest burned. Then Nora froze the frame. There's more. She rewound. Slow. Frame by frame. Rosie's hand brushed her stomach. Not absent-minded. Protective. Zoom, I said. Nora did. The timestamp. The date. Eve, she said carefully. She was already pregnant here. I shook my head. She told everyone she'd just found out. That's a lie. Cut. Nora pulled up medical billing metadata tied to Rosie's insurance. Prenatal labs. Ultrasounds. 6 weeks before the dinner. She's been pregnant longer than you, Nora said. The room tilted. So the announcement wasn't just theft, I whispered. It was camouflage. Nora looked at me. Exactly. If Rosie announced first, her pregnancy became the truth. Mine became an inconvenience, a threat, or a lie. I pressed a hand to my belly. They weren't just stealing my moment, I said. They were rewriting lineage. Nora leaned back. People don't commit this level of fraud for money alone. No, I said. They do it for legitimacy. Cut. A notification popped up. Blocked transfer attempt. Nora's jaw tightened. Someone just tried to remotely wipe this footage. My pulse spiked. Who? She typed fast. Faster. Origin point masked. But the relay bounced through a shell server registered to. She stopped. To who? The law firm. My phone buzzed. Unknown number. I didn't answer. It buzzed again. Then a text. Stop digging. My breath shortened. Nora's eyes flicked to the phone. They're panicking. I laughed once. Sharp. Good. She hesitated. There's one more thing. She pulled up a secondary clip. Same study. Different night. Rosie again. This time with someone else. A man. Tall. Familiar. My throat closed. That's not Gideon, I said. No, Nora replied. That's Caleb Rourke. I knew the name. One-time partner at Gideon's firm. Fired. NDA. Quiet exit. The clip showed Rosie touching his arm. Intimate. Close. You're telling me. I'm telling you the baby may not be Gideon's, Nora said. And if that's true, it changes everything. Nora nodded. For inheritance. For motive. For how far they'll go to protect the lie. Cut. I walked to the window. Cracked the blinds. A black SUV idled across the street. Engine running. Lights off. I stepped back. They're outside, I said. Nora saved the files. Encrypted them. Copied them. Again. Again. Truth doesn't protect you, she said quietly. Timing does. My phone buzzed again. This time a voicemail. I pressed play. Rosie's voice filled the room. Calm. Controlled. You should have stayed quiet, Evangeline. Now you've made this dangerous. The line went dead. I looked at Nora. She met my gaze. I'm not the only one they've been watching. The storm hit Charleston like a verdict. Rain slammed sideways. Palmettos bent. Sirens wailed and cut out. The power grid flickered, then steadied, then flickered again, long enough to make everyone uneasy, not long enough to send them home. Perfect cover. Nora drove. I watched the mirrors. Say it again, she said. Why tonight? Because lies rot faster under pressure, I replied. And storms make people sloppy. She snorted. That's one way to put it. Another car slipped in behind us. Headlights off. Too close. Nora took a sharp right, then a left. The car followed. Company, she said. Let them, I said. My pulse climbed. Fear sharpens focus. We parked 2 blocks from the old law office. Brick, boarded windows. A brass plaque, still clinging to the wall like it hadn't gotten the memo. Rourke and Hale. Dissolved. Sued. Buried. I pulled my hood up. Nora handed me gloves. Remember, she said low. Truth is leverage. Don't spend it cheap. Cut. The back door gave way with a dull crack. Alarm stayed silent. The electricity here ran on a backup generator. Legal offices don't like losing records. Inside, it smelled like mold and toner. The hallway lights buzzed like insects. Every step echoed. I moved fast. File room. Cabinets. Locked drawer. Nora whispered through my earpiece. 2 minutes. I found the folder. Calder Trust, amended. My father's name, typed clean. Too clean. Footsteps. I froze. A shadow crossed the frosted glass. The door opened. Rosie stood there. She had a gun. Everything slowed. A bad habit of the mind when it realizes it's cornered. You really should have stayed quiet, she said. Her voice was steady. Practiced. People like you confuse mercy for weakness. I raised my hands. The folder slipped from my fingers and hit the floor. Distraction. Her eyes dropped. Reveal. I kicked the drawer shut and lunged sideways. The shot cracked the air and shattered glass. Pain screamed up my arm, not a hit, a graze. Enough to remind me I was mortal. I slammed into a desk. Papers flew. The generator hiccuped. Light stuttered. Another door burst open. Gideon. Rosie, stop, he barked. You're making this worse. She laughed, a sharp, ugly sound. You said she wouldn't come. I said I'd handle it, he snapped. They argued like partners whose script had gone off book. I crawled, reached, found the hard drive taped beneath the desk. Nora's voice hissed in my ear. Get out, now. Rosie turned the gun back to me. Hand it over. No, I said, breath ragged. You don't get to erase me. She stepped closer. The barrel shook just a little. Gideon grabbed her wrist. Enough. She yanked free. You're weak. That word landed like a blade. He flinched. In the flicker of light, I saw it, the truth behind his eyes. Fear. Not of me. Of exposure. The power cut. Darkness. Then emergency lights bled red into the room. Sirens again. Closer. Nora had pulled the pin. Rosie's grip faltered. Gideon lunged. The gun clattered. I kicked it away. Chaos. Shouts. The door slammed. Footsteps retreated. We ran. Cut. Rain soaked me to the bone. My arm throbbed. We piled into the car and peeled off just as police cruisers screamed past toward the office. Breathing hard, Nora drove with both hands clenched white. You okay? I will be, I said. Do we have it? She nodded. We have everything. She plugged the drive into her laptop at a red light. Files bloomed across the screen. Contracts, wire transfers, emails, and then the clause, a subclause. My heart sank. If the beneficiary predeceases the birth, Nora read quietly, all assets revert to the secondary heir. I swallowed. Gideon. Yes. I laughed once, bitter. He didn't need Rosie pregnant. Nora looked at me. He needed you gone. We sat in silence while rain battered the windshield. I thought of something Dad used to say, half joking, half warning. Power doesn't need villains. It needs permission. My phone buzzed. A message from Gideon. We can still fix this. Another. Come home. Let's talk. I stared at the glowing screen, at the city lights blurring into streaks. People reveal who they are when they think the game is over, I said. He thinks he's still playing. Nora nodded. What's the move? I looked at the files, at the timestamps, at the signatures. At the party, I said, where everyone's watching. She smiled grimly. Public truth. Exactly, I said. Lies hate daylight. Thunder rolled overhead. The storm surged. He didn't need Rosie pregnant. He just needed me gone. The ballroom was a golden cage. Crystal chandeliers, polished floors, laughs that didn't reach the eyes. Everyone who mattered in Charleston was there. Everyone who thought they were untouchable. Gideon stood near the bar, sipping bourbon, eyes scanning the crowd like he owned it. He didn't see me slip in. Nora flanked the AV tech at the back, USB drive in hand. Her signal one nod. I clutched my glass of sparkling water, feeling it sweat against my palm. Tonight wasn't about forgiveness. It was about visibility. Rosie took the mic. Thank you for being here to celebrate our little miracle. I walked toward the stage. Steady. Every step louder than the last in my chest. People turned. Eyes widened. A few gasps. You want a miracle? I said into the mic, here's one. Surviving betrayal. Gasps rippled. Rosie's smile faltered. Gideon froze. Nora cued the screen. Click. Emails. bank transfers, a timeline, a clause, a motive, proof. The room went dead silent, then exploded in whispers. Gideon stepped forward. Harper, you're confused. Don't, I snapped. Don't speak my name like you didn't weaponize it. Security started toward me. Nora blocked them. We've sent everything to federal investigators. Rosie staggered off the stage, mascara trailing like the facade cracking. A woman clutched her chest and sat down hard. Another whispered he tried to kill her. Gideon turned pale. You don't love family, I said, facing him. You consume it. He opened his mouth. Then flash. Cameras. Phones. Lenses snapping the truth in real time. The lies couldn't keep up. Cut. Police entered. The room split. Gideon didn't run. He knew better. When you think power protects you, the moment it vanishes is biblical. They cuffed him slow, purposeful, a show of authority. Rosie screamed, lunging, too late. They took her too. As they passed me, Gideon looked at me like I was a stranger. I guess I was, because I wasn't afraid anymore. Cut. Weeks later, the courthouse steps were slick with rain. Reporters shouted. Flashbulbs popped. I walked past them. Inside, everything smelled of old paper and polished wood. Justice always smells the same. I testified. I told them how I was manipulated, threatened, almost erased. How truth was never convenient, but necessary. Afterward, Nora handed me the final document. Dad's estate, legally restored. Not a cent to Gideon or Rosie. I stared at it. Didn't feel triumphant. Just steady. Sometimes surviving is the victory. Cut. The nursery walls were pale blue. I ran my fingers over the crib. Quiet. Nora leaned on the doorway. You ready? I nodded. Scared? Yes. Good, she said. Means you're paying attention. I smiled. There are no perfect endings. Only the moment you decide to stop bleeding and start breathing. That was mine. Because healing isn't loud. It's the soft click of a door locking behind you. It's choosing to live even when you were taught to disappear. It's knowing the truth and telling it anyway.